Hello, good morning, and good evening. You're listening to the podcast Call and Response. This is episode number 8. We are your hosts, John and Likai. And in today's podcast, we are joined by our good friend, Marie.
Hello.
And we'll be talking about The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferris. Welcome back to another episode of Call and Response. This podcast is an attempt to find ways to implement what we learn from the books we read into our lives. We come together every other week to talk about the main learnings from the book and ask questions to help each other turn them into actionable tasks. So by the end of the episode, you'll not only be able to get the gist of the book, but hopefully also be able to take away hints to incorporate what you learn into your lives. So the book we read this week is The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferris, and in a nutshell, it's a step-by-step guide to help people who feel stuck and are unsatisfied with their 9-to-5 day jobs to get out of their situation and live more freely without being constrained by the conventional way of life of waiting until retirement to enjoy life. He calls this new lifestyle the new rich, and he shares his experience of slowly leaving his day job, making a product, and automating the business so that he can travel around the world and spend his time and energy on the things that excite him the most. to name to name the least, it allowed him to be the first American to hold a Guinness World Record in tango, be an advisor to more than 30 world record holders in professional and Olympic sports, become a national Chinese kickboxing champion, horseback archer in Japan, and a political asylum researcher and activist. Along with that, a hurling competitor in Ireland and an actor in a TV series in China and Hong Kong. And throughout the book, he provides insights from his anecdotes along with his principles to help us replicate his system and lifestyle. Okay, up till now, we call this section the question and answer section, but at the end of each chapter in the 4-Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss has a section called Questions and Actions. And I thought this resonates pretty well with what we intend to do with this podcast. So from this episode and on, we're going to call this segment the Questions and Actions section. So after asking each other questions, we're going to have a list of to-dos or actionable to-dos so that we can try to incorporate what we learn from the books into our lives. So for this section, our special guest today, Marie, is going to take over and be the prompter, and will be asking us the questions. So yeah, take it away, Marie.
Okay, so thank you for letting me ask the questions. So we came up with 7 questions while reading this book. And the first one is, how has being realistic or responsible kept you from the life you want? Liger, you want to go and go ahead and answer?
I can go.
Okay.
Yes. So, my life, the life that I want, and then my current life, they're both starting to get a little bit blurry. And I say this because, so as in, a part of me says that the life that I envision and idealize is only possible if I live the responsible life more. So it's kind of like the responsible life is like a bridge to the ideal life that I want. And I think this is you can kind of like I think a simple way to think about it is like earning a lot of money up front and then using that to say a a typical way would be like investing in stocks or whatever, real estate, and then like getting income from that. That's like you get passive income, right, through real estate, but you can only do that if you have like upfront large capital. And so that's why I say like the responsible life where you do 9 to 5 job and earning income is like a part of a stepping stone to what I want to do in the future, which is more passive with living with passive income and so on and so forth. And I think also like there's a kind of like subtext with this question where like like quit your job today. Like you can quit your job today is kind of like that subtle message there. But I also want to emphasize that that's also like not always the smartest, or like if you have savings, then yeah, sure, but you gotta be a little more like take a step back and see if that's feasible for you. Yeah. So all this to say that, like, yes, we all want to live that life that we want, but it's also important to consider that stepping stone, which may include 9 to 5. But I think it's still a good question to remind us that, like are you doing what you really want to do? So, かな? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lika, for you, your so-called responsible or realistic life is somehow connected to your like end goal, your ambitions. とか. So, in a way, you were fortunate to have those in sync.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? So,
Yeah.
like, it kind of aligns with the 9 to 5?
Mm-hmm. っていうこと?
It's not completely aligned. It's kind of like, well, ideally I would just like have $1 million like today, and I can start investing and get passive income, whatever. So that's like the direct path. The most direct would be to get that income or get $1 million, but then I need a detour a little bit through 9 to 5 in order to get that initial capital. So I'm not really aligning anything. I'm just like しょうがなく reluctantly going around this obstacle or like around through 9 to 5 to get money.
Okay. Yeah, so like you said, it's like a stepping stone.
Right.
It's a stepping stone. Yeah.
I guess in my case, long story short, I'm in the process of shedding off the skin of myself trying to live a responsible or realistic life. And I think this is because recently I came to notice that this was the trajectory that I was set on without much of my freedom. It was already set in stone. Well, I think that's like the normal trajectory of life, but and I realized this after having conversations with my dad about going freelance and doing what I want to do. And in one of those conversations, he sent me this image of I think it's like one of those old people memes or like motto photos that encapsulate like a aphorism where it said, gain in your 20s, build in your 30s, and chill in your 40s. And this was exactly or similar to how Tim Ferris defined the conventional way of life of waiting until your 40s to start actually enjoying life. But this made it feel like our youth was merely a currency that you just give in for a so-called promised future, even though the future isn't really promised. It's like an illusion of having a really stable and chilled life, of being just comfortable doing something or doing nothing almost. But after looking at, well, my parents too, and other adults and a couple of other friends, it seems like they're doing work for work, as Tim Ferriss says. They're working for work without having a end in mind or a plan for what they want to do after they establish this. Reach this stage of their lives. So I feel like, to me, that was unexciting. An unexciting way of living, and I don't want to live that way. And I want to start to live from now. And I think that's what Tim Ferriss was saying by spreading out your retirement and having mini retirements throughout your entire life instead of allocating everything at the very, very end. Because there's no really guarantee that you'll make it like there in the first place, and there's no guarantee that you'll enjoy it as well. So might as well start doing that now. っていうのが that's my motivation. And that
Yeah.
really went against what my dad had in plan for me in my trajectory in life that he tried to provide me. Because to him, I think this is like the most comfortable and easiest way to live. And he gave me the tools to go on this path. But as I said, that doesn't really excite me. And even though it might sound unrealistic or irresponsible, I feel like trying to figure things out on this path will give much more fulfillingness. Will be much more fulfilling for me in the long term. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm shedding off that skin.
I think he also mentioned in the book that a lot of people end up actually just going back to working anyways. Like even if the goal is to retire in your 40s and then just chill, they don't really have anything concrete planned, and so they have too much free time on their hands, and they just end up going back to work anyways. So it's kind of like a never-ending cycle. And yeah, so like you said, it's a really traditional mindset that's an illusion almost. そう確かに。
Tim, he also was mentioning like you have to fill those gaps that you now have,
Yeah.
right? Through after shedding or eliminating, which is one of the 4 steps, elimination. You have to fill in with activities that you really like. And I think he also mentioned those activities should kind of go along the lines of service and learning,
Yeah.
right?
Learning and service,
Yeah. So I just want to add that, but I also wanted to add that like I feel like now that I said what I said for my response to this question, it feels like I'm more not leaning, but like I still have that traditional mentality in my mind. Maybe not exactly. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I just thought like, oh, like, in looking back to what I just did, it's like, あれ? ちょっと doesn't it sound similar to the traditional, like you said, because when you said using your 20s as like a currency to get your 30s and like time in 30s and 40s, whatever, like, so no, if it felt like, oh, like maybe I am thinking like that, and but I think also the main difference is that we like Marie, like you said, like people go back to work, and so as long as you are working right now, like let's say 9 to 5, in order to get something you want in the future, then I guess it goes back to what I said, stepping stone. So I'm just thinking out loud right now, but as long as it's a stepping stone, I think it's better than like Johnny said, working for it just to work.
Yeah, もちろん.
Yeah.
So it's a subtle difference, kind of line.
Yeah.
So then
to
having
draw.
like a clear goal in mind of why you're kind of earning this money versus just thinking like, okay, I'll just chill and figure it out later.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
the
yeah.
big difference.
そうだね。
そうだね.
Maria.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me was throughout high school, just being realistic, I think was more in the form of like go to college after high school, like just kind of following that flow. I think the flow was so strong for me that I didn't even consider alternative options. And the life that I want, I guess, is more toward those alternative options. So I think being realistic in that sense really narrowed down my options for the future. And I'm also the same way as John said, I'm trying to shed off that skin as well. So trying to get out and trying to reshape my future now that I know that I've been in that strong flow for a really long time. Yeah.
So, I also want to like bring up or acknowledge that there's the feeling of like the grass is always greener on the other side, or like naimono nedari. And so I was thinking, okay, all of us have like some college, university education, and I was thinking, okay, we might want the alternative options, but given that we went this path of the responsible path, how have we, benefited from, like, I guess the education we got? I'm trying to think what. Well, I mean, employment, it helps, but employment, you only need employment if you're gonna go. I don't know. I don't know if every employment is gonna be like 9 to 5. I'm sure there's like wonderful, amazing experiences out there, but because I don't want to generalize, but yeah, I'm thinking of other ways that we might have benefited, and was wondering what you guys thought.
Yeah, that's can I go?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's actually a really good question, because I'm generally looking back at my education at university, I think, in like a very reluctant way, but actually it's because of things that I did during, or I guess it was due to a lot of opportunities that I was given during my university, that I was able to, for example, go to Brazil for exchange, for really low cost, or get to know a lot of friends. And I guess that was something that I did get in a positive sense from the university, but I don't know if it was worth like spending 5 to 6 years just for that one positive outcome. But yeah, I guess there are some positive things that came out of it, definitely.
That's definitely one.
Yeah.
Johan? Or if you're done?
I'm yeah.
Oh, okay.
ちょっと考えていいですか？
はい。その間俺も考えます。
はい。その間私は待ってます。
待ってます。
So the positive things that came out from our traditional or like responsible path of life, right?
Yeah.
I think one big thing is not having to sustain our lives ourselves is something that came from having a parent that followed that traditional path, or a family that followed that traditional path.
I see.
The fact that I'm living today is like,
yeah,
I'm fortunate enough not to be working full-time right at this moment as we speak. So I think that's a huge factor that can help us take other paths or consider other paths if we wanted to. So I think the foundation is there, and the fact that we got a higher education as well, a degree is like a ticket to the job market, and a robust portion of the job market compared to those who can't get that, even if they wanted to. So in that sense, we do have these tools that we can utilize to our advantages. But as we talked about earlier, I think the outcomes of these usages really depend on your objective and what you're trying to get out of it. Because I feel like personally, I didn't have the time to really think about what I wanted to do with my life, like in high school or I started thinking about it like towards the end of my university, because that's when everyone starts thinking about it. But by the time that comes, it's, I don't know, I don't want to say too late, but it's a bit
it's a bit of a waste, I think.
You're almost on the second floor on the escalator kind of thing. You can't it's more efficient to just go to the second floor instead of just jump off from that to the first floor, you know. So in that sense, there's this flow, this nagare that's pushing our backs, but I think it's ultimately our freedom to like set our 2 feet firmly and be like, no, I don't want to go to the second floor. I want to go to the first floor or the basement 1 floor, because they have more, you know, oishii tabemono, or like good looking clothing or whatever you want to do, you know. けどその building no map, like the, how do you say that in English?
The blueprint?
Or
the
blueprint and like
floor plan,
I think, like to see which stores are in which floor.
Yeah, floor plan, I think.
Floor plan?
そうだね。
なんかそのフロアプランは個人的には見れてなかった気がする。まあ見てないっていうのはあるかもしれないけど、見る時間がなかった気がする。
でも、can I add? さっき言った like そのtraditional responsible lifestyle 生きて、親がそう生きてきたから we are able to be or we're able to be where we are today because of that, right? And although we should be thankful, like you said, we should also still have our own stance and say no to that. But I also think not going the traditional path, because I would say traditional is more like safe and stable, right?
So
it's
like a cushion.
It's a cushion. だから、because we have this cushion, it's also like you could look at it in a way that's like it's our responsibility, but it's our like chance to like amplify this stability into using our like そのマリが言った alternate options とか使って、we can like be bigger or like do better or whatever, earn more or do your own business or something. Like I guess easiest is doing your own business because that's like high risk but also high reward but also high risk. But like I said, because we have that cushion, that risk is also kind of minimized. So なんかこの we can use this to trampoline up. But for other people, they might not have this kind of fortunate life upbringing, and so they're like しょうがなく like they have to go through maybe the traditional way to pay the bills. So you know, like so that's in a sense I'm thankful for my parents, but so it's not just like, so I think what I'm trying to say is like we're not necessarily going against their will. You can say that we are trying to like bounce off of their accomplishment to then like amplify and do better, or like do better for the family or something. Does that make sense?
We're trying to do what also would be in their interest, but just in a different way than what they're imagining to kanji.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So then I guess we can move on to the next question. Yeah, the next question starts with a quote, which says, "It is far more lucrative and fun to leverage your strengths instead of attempting to fix all the chinks in your armor. The choice is between multiplication of results using strengths or incremental improvement fixing weaknesses that will, at best, become mediocre. Focus on better use of your best weapons instead of constant repair." And then the question based on that is, do you think you are utilizing your strengths or are you compromising for your weaknesses?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say something that's not really answering the question, but it's related to it, and then I'll answer the question. But so if I may bring in the 80-20 principle into this question, I also think bringing the level of your weaknesses up to the standard or like normal level could bring you the 80% of the benefits. And so you can focus on your strengths, but let's say those strengths are like essentially maximized. If you like worked hard enough that they're like pretty much like there and maximized, then I think working on your weaknesses can give you the best like bang for buck, just because you're so bad at those stuff that like just the slightest improvement will give you a so much more like return. So I think in conclusion, I don't think we should overly emphasize on like focusing on just the strengths or focusing on the weaknesses. Don't be like, hey, I'm just this. I'm just a weakness person or I'm just a strength person. I think it depends on the situation. So examine what kind of situation you're in, and determine what's important for you. If I want to be a tutor, let's say like a computer science tutor, and I have my strength is like knowledge in the domain of computer science. But if my communication skills is like absolutely horrible, even worse is like, let's say I want to teach in the States, but then I don't know English. Like spending a month or two learning English is going to benefit me in teaching computer science to students in English. So instead of using that 1 or 2 months refining my computer science knowledge even more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I
Kind
guess
of.
it really depends
Okay.
on the situation.
Yeah. But if you let's say if you flip it, if you know English, you're born and raised in the States, and you want to teach computer science in the States, maybe then refining. Oh no, that doesn't make sense. That would just be okay. So ignore that part. But now to answer the question, do I think I'm utilizing my strengths or compromising, or are you compromising for your weaknesses? Yeah. I never really thought of strengths or weaknesses as much, as you kind of know from my previous answer, but I think I just do like what I like to do, and I never really considered strengths and weaknesses. And I want to bring in another book called like So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport, and his message in that book is about part of the message was you get passionate about something you're good at. And so it's not the other way around where you get passionate and then you get good at. So and I kind of feel that way too, because I wouldn't say computer science is like I just liked doing computer science, but I wasn't like necessarily good at it. But I guess because I liked doing it, I kept at it, and then like I guess I naturally got better. So I just like doing what I do, and that kind of helps me in the long run. It also gives you the extra. It makes you want to go the extra mile for, just because you like the topic. So, not much about weaknesses and strengths, but I think but if I were to think about weaknesses and strengths, it usually becomes. I think my strengths are more, not like STEM, like like. So it would be more like science or tech stuff, like STEM, but weaknesses would be like bunke, which is like liberal arts, or like arts, and then communications, humanities, and so that's not my strong suit. Writing isn't my strong suit either. So yeah.
So in that case, like if you have something that you need to write or something, you would most likely just delegate it to somebody else.
Yeah. Or postpone it real hard. Or procrastinate. I mean, procrastinate real hard. Yeah. I'd rather not.
I guess in that case, you are focusing on your strengths and not working on your weaknesses, I guess.
I guess because I naturally stuck with computer science, or with my any other interest, like playing Overwatch too, like it, because I like it, and naturally my skills got better too. So, and then as a side effect, because I got better, it looks like I'm working on my strengths, but I'm not necessarily guided by strengths, or like the light at the end of the tunnel called strength, but the light at the end of the tunnel for me is just what I like to do, like my interest in that. Like the North Star. Yeah.
I feel like your strengths, it's like it's your strength because you like it, but you like it because it's your strength. It's like a two-way interaction almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like a wheel that moves each other forward.
そうだね.
And
I like that.
Yeah, and I guess you said working on your weaknesses can give you the best bang for your buck, especially or only if your strengths are maximized. So I guess you're still in the process of maxing it out or developing it.
I think especially, kana? Yeah, not I don't want to be absolute and say only. Okay, I'm not the best at considering every option out there. So,
But have you had instances where you were like, okay, I gotta work on my weaknesses or else I'm not gonna improve?
no, because I don't. Mm, no. なんか I can say that confidently.
Mm.
I mean, I guess my memory might be just bad, but I can't think of a time where I'm like,
Maybe your
yeah,
weakness is your memory.
yeah, no, it probably is. Um, yeah, can't think of one.
Damn.
Not to be arrogant or anything. It's just I don't think
Disclaimer.
about it as much as
Mm.
this. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I had one more thing to say. Oh, yeah. Earlier I brought up like so good they can't ignore you, and then like how like you get good at something and then you like it, but I know Marie, you read another book that said the other way around, which is like you get passionate about something and then you get better. And I feel like what I just explained about like computer science is like what you were describing, the passion coming before getting better. Because for me, it's like, well, I like computer science, and that's why I got better at it. So I feel like I was contradicting myself. But now that John or like we established that it's more like a wheel, like or like a two-way thing, and not necessarily like one is a cause for the other or effect. So I really like this wheel thing because it makes sense now. There's situations where you get better because you like it, or where you like it because you get better. And I think the more I think about it, it's like, yeah, it feeds off of each other. So it might actually just be two-way street rather than one way.
And then it naturally moves itself forward って感じだね。
Yeah.
Without us
Unless
doing-
you have like zero才能, but that's like an exception.
そうだね。すんごい好きでめっちゃ下手だったら確かに
ちょっと残念だね、それ。
残念。
まあ、
I
if you
guess
still like it.
Or it can be
Yeah.
the opportunity for you to like move on, I guess,
Yeah.
to something different. Cool.
But sorry, I took over. Go ahead.
I think my response is, in a way, pretty much the same as Lee Kai's, where I said, our weaknesses should be assessed only after our strengths don't yield further progress. So, yeah, because I feel like without a strength, there isn't any weakness, and without even establishing that, I feel like we can't really, I don't know, do much based on our intentions. Everything's going to be really automatic and out of control, I think, with what we do with our lives. So, I think 最初は it's important to establish your strength. So try different things and find what you're good at or find what you're passionate about. And once you get really good at that thing and you stop growing, even if you keep developing that skill, I guess that's the time where you start working on your weaknesses so that you can go that extra mile っていうか, level up further. But yeah. Well, I think でも同時に I also think people can find their strengths out of their weaknesses, out of trying to close off their weaknesses at the same time. Or perceived weaknesses, like. And I guess that's similar to my message of just trying things out. If you try your weakness and if you confirm that it's your weakness, you can move on to another thing. And if you try a weakness and if you're good at it, if you end up being good at it, that can be a strength kind of thing. So it's just, I don't know, just trying different things until you find your strength かながなんか大事な気がした。And do you think you are utilizing? So personally, I think I'm in the process of developing my strengths. I think I have a strength in my visual aesthetics through photography and video right now. And my curiosity for the human mind, which is why I'm studying life coaching and improving my weaknesses that contribute to my strength もやってる. So I realized that I lacked focus, and that was largely because I lacked sleep, or I didn't eat enough, or I didn't exercise enough, or I didn't meditate that morning, or I didn't have a clear goal, or just had the time to calibrate myself with it. So I developed habits to eliminate those weaknesses that affected my strengths.
うん。
Do you mean
So
what
it's not-
weaknesses about it?
確かに. I guess it's kind of good that, or to me it sounds like you both have some like strengths that you know of, and then the weaknesses you kind of have like around them, like at the base, and then you try to kind of, if you work on those weaknesses, your strengths will also go up. So that's kind of, those are the weaknesses that you focus on, right? So that sounds like a good thing. Because I think for me, if I can move on, I don't know.
いいよ。
For me, I think, nowadays I think I'm more aware of letting go of things that are just not like choosing my battles, if you will. So like things like my weaknesses that are just not worth working on or spending time on, that will like not affect my strengths in any way. I think I used to, like, especially through high school and maybe also a bit of college, I used to focus on fixing the chinks in my armor, as it says in the quote, or just constantly repairing things, just for the sake of being a well-rounded person, because being a well-rounded person was really encouraged in school, I think. Just also like to get into university, for example, it was always talked about that universities would look at if you were active in sports and music and not just academics. And so they really encouraged this idea of a well-rounded person. So I think with that, I was so busy fixing my imperfections, just for the sake of fixing them, and not to fix them so that my strengths, so it could propel my strengths forward. So one example is like track and field. There was this 400-meter race that I was horrible at. Like, I was really bad. And I was good at long distance, for example, like, because we were always practicing for cross country, and in the coach's mind, track and field was kind of like practice for cross country, because for him cross country was like the main thing. And so he always encouraged all the cross country runners to do the long distance races, and he saw me doing the 400 and I was like really bad at it, and he was always like actively discouraging me to do the 400 meters. But then I really just saw that as weakness, and I just did it for the sake of wanting to overcome my weaknesses. So in that sense, it didn't help me at all, because it's like it's training different muscles, so it doesn't help me for 3,000 meters at all. If anything, it exhausts me, so then it would actually bring down my results for the 3,000 とか. So now I think I've learned to choose my battles more, and to see it more as in, like, if it's a weakness, okay, that's okay. You don't have to focus on becoming a perfect person, because it's impossible. So yeah, I guess it's now, I think I've grown into a more person who tries to utilize their strengths instead of constantly repairing my weaknesses. So I guess overall, it's what we can get out of all our responses is kind of like, it's important to first of all see if it's something, if that weakness can be of use to you. So if that weakness can help you kind of develop your strength, and if not, you should like delegate that weakness to somebody else so that you can focus on your strength. Kind of.
そうだね.
I know that your school had a scholastic athlete, was it? Award?
Yeah.
なんかあったね.
Which was, for those that don't know, it's like you have certain GPA and then do all 3 seasons of sports, I think. Yeah, I don't know, like, you know, like we just talked about, like, sometimes it is good to be all-rounded. Sometimes like, なんだろうね. Maybe when you're young, maybe that's why they emphasize it. And in college, there's like things like majors and minors where you start to specialize. So I don't know. I guess when you're young, it's hard to like specialize. But then again, those kids that start to specialize when they were young, like do like table tennis or golf or whatever, like
Yeah.
ski, snowboard, they get the most. They go furthest in the life. So not furthest, like in that field.
Yeah.
So
Because that might be part of their strengths
thoughts.
as well. Right?
You mean?
Like those kids that start really young, like it might be because it's actually part of their strengths. Because some kids, they could also start really young, but then they can never get as good or something.
ね、
Yeah.
それも like your parents and the environment really plays a role in finding your strength too, だよね. Especially for those kids. And I feel like the Scholastic Award of having done 3 different sports for 3 different seasons and having a certain GPA does somewhat encourage you to stretch yourself a bit, to try different things, and hopefully as a result find something that you can specialize on or your strengths. But it seems as though you're kind of sacrificing the opportunity for you to specialize in something and just simply get that award. So no, spreading yourself enough to get that award. No ための award みたいな. If that award even exists. Like the fact that that award exists, I feel like it encourages people to do that more than anything. Even though it could be utilized as a good opportunity for exploring your strengths and weaknesses. Maybe people do, and yeah, but なんか award にしなくてよくねっていう。
そうだね.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Yeah.
People care about awards.
ね.
Naturally.
So they might actually guide them off track of what they actually need to do. Because the award gives more recognition.
そうだね.
Yeah.
そうだね.
まあそれもね、なんか even like while we're students, we don't really think about those things, or we don't have the capacity to think about that.
Yeah.
In a self-aware context. So.
I think this is a good leeway to the next question, because like you said that we don't have that much time to think about what matters or what excites us in life. So what are you good at that excites you most in life, and how can you contribute to others as a result? And are you more likely to find this excitement in your current job or your current occupation or somewhere else? I don't know who wants to tackle that.
I guess I can go first. Maza, I want to thank you for being a beautiful prompter, because that was a beautiful transition.
ありがとう。
すごい今までのpodcastに比べてみると
そう。
なんか恥ずかしくなってきます。
いや。そんな。ほら、this may be my strength.
Yeah, this is your strength.
Yeah.
ありがとう。
ぜひ。
Definitely our weaknesses.
Yeah, so I think we can give it a shot and try to get better, but if we fail at it, ぜひまた登壇してください。
嬉しいです。ありがとうございます。
登壇っていうかまあ yeah, join our podcast. So yeah, what am I good at that excites me the most in my life? I think so far, I find excitement through influencing my friends and others in a constructive way as a result of my curiosity and skill. What I mean by that is, for example, when I have conversation with friends and that help me and the other person tackle something difficult in their lives and see these issues from a different angle or a different light, that help them get the courage to move forward or just feel better about the situation really excites me because, you know, you're moving someone forward, or I'm moving forward as a result of that conversation. And that really excites me. I'm having those conversations. And I really love doing that in the context of, well, conversations too, but through my curiosity and skill for visual arts. So, yeah, for example, I had a conversation at a friend's photo exhibition, and I came into the exhibition last minute. I was the very last customer, and my friend was there, and we started talking about these things related to the way the photos were laid out or the people who collaborated with him in the exhibition. And he started talking about how it's sad to think that I was the only one who would actually delve into talking about these things, because everyone else who came were passively looking at it and just told my friend, "Oh, they look nice," or like, "Oh, it was a nice time," みたいな感じのsomewhat superficial response. And I started talking about like my recent concern about how I find it difficult to express what I want to express through photography, and I didn't know how to, you know, put an idea into a photo, like that type of concern. And he started talking about like how he had the same issue when he was thinking about the layout for this exhibition, that type of thing. And yeah, through that conversation, we concluded that we needed some sort of 必然性って英語なんだっけ?
Should I translate?
Inevitableness. Meaning we can't really fake what we want to convey. So living in Tokyo, we can't really talk about or photograph or express the things that we want to express about, like, let's say world hunger or like hunger problems in Africa, because that's not us. That's not inevitable for us to do, because that's so disconnected from us. So it's more reasonable and inevitable for us to, let's say, express our concerns with life or concerns with our families or concerns about things that happen to them on a local scale. And yeah, that really opened up my interpretation for expressing, or just me tackling photography and art as a medium. So that type of conversation really excites me. And he told me excited him, because it made him think in a way that he never really thought of. And I think that's one of the best feedbacks that I love. Went on a tangent, but
so basically helping others to further and improve themselves in a way.
So yes, and hopefully I can do that through my photos and my works of art, or just works. So it's really nice to get feedback about this podcast too from friends that watch this, including Marie, because she watches and listens to our podcast too.
Yes.
And listening to how it helped them think in a different way or motivated them to do certain things is really fulfilling. So yeah, hopefully I can scale this in a way that can help more people. And yeah, kana? And right now I can't really find such excitement through my current job pool as a freelance photographer, videographer. So that's why I'm currently working on taking online courses in life coaching and counseling. And I also want to grow my YouTube channel and make more photo zines and just products related to photography and video. and hopefully mesh them somewhere in the near future. かな?
理解は?
俺ね、excitement in life? I don't know. Because, yeah, I really don't know. I think I've kind of blanketed this question with different things in life, but nothing really I feel very connected to or excited about. So I'm not too sure, but I know with also the Courage to Be the book The Courage to Be Disliked, or Kirawareri Yuki that we read last time, John. Contributing is happiness, right? Is one of the topics that he was talking about. And then I think it was who else? I think it was Tim too, right? He said happiness, it's not happiness we're looking for, but it's excitement. And so I guess if we use those two formulas, we can connect contributing equals excitement. And so I think one way I realized that I enjoy kind of helping people, not saying I'm the best, is by talking to them, like Johnny said, about kind of personal and a little sensitive topics about their life, personal stories about their life, and kind of similar to what Dr. K is doing, but counseling and talking through it, and not advising or anything, but processing the thoughts and also dissecting where that thought came from, and asking repeatedly asking why did you think that, why is that the case. That is, although I'm helping the other person's issue, it's still rewarding and feels nice to be I'm helping them. And I think this is plays with my strength too, because for some reason I just love those kind of personal topic conversations. But second is because I mentioned this in a previous podcast, but because I'm a sensitive person, it helps me with being sensitive with other people's emotions too. So it would be it's easier for me to step around the boundaries, which areas I should or shouldn't talk about, and then but slowly but surely nudging them into to their truth, to their source of pain or source of happiness, whatever. So but my main point is, through those counseling sessions, if you will, I think I enjoy them a lot. So kind of like John's answer.
So helping other people to improve their lives, kind of.
Yeah, I guess.
Also in the same way.
Sounds fun. What about Marie? If there's no other questions. Yeah.
What about for the second part of the question?
Oh right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's actually what I recently thought of that too. I don't think I made a software, so because my internship is in software engineering, and so far it's about experimenting with different kind of programs. So I haven't impacted any customer or user directly. So I don't know, if we go with the contributing equals excitement, I haven't felt excitement because I don't think I feel like I contributed yet, at least. Yeah. So I probably will find excitement, but just not yet. And I think I would feel more excitement if it were through counseling or through teaching, which is more personal or in person and one-on-one. So, but at the same time, I love software because it's so easy or cheap to replicate this program and to impact a lot of people. So it's really scalable. So although it loses that peopleness, like you're not directly interacting with anyone, it's still really scalable. So it might compensate that excitement through scalability. Yeah, Marie? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
そうだね. I think for me, what excites me most in my life is I like to feel creative. So be it through things like dancing or singing or making YouTube videos. I think that's where I feel most excited. And yeah, unfortunately, as I mentioned before, the path that I'm on right now, like in terms of like university, that's where I'm not really getting this excitement much because there's not much room to be creative. It's science, so there is some room to be creative, but it's a very limited way. It's like I can't just like burst out in song or something in science. Like it's very rules set. Like there's some restrictions there, I think. So I think I can't find this excitement very much in my current occupation or my current path. So yeah, I guess being creative excites me most, and I think that I can also be creative in the way that I can help others through this creativity. So I think from now on, being able to explore that, that's already an excitement in itself as well. So yeah, I will be going more toward that path, toward excitement. Thank you to this book. Yes.
I think
yeah.
I also want to ask this question to John. I mean, it's both of you guys, but like, what part of being creative is exciting to you guys? Because if you guys haven't realized, bunke or like humanity is my weakness, and so is creativity. So it's hard for me to relate to that.
I think you're creative though, like especially with jokes. And I think it's similar to that. I think being creative helps you actualize what you have in your mind in different ways. Something abstract, putting something abstract into reality, kana, is one enjoyment. Yeah, one of the greatest feelings I had through creativity was making my photo books, because it was only in my head, but yeah, once I had it in reality and had many people read it or buy it, it was crazy. it was like having them hold a part of my mind. So I think that's one huge way of me enjoying.
Yeah, I guess a big part of it is the impact it could have on others. Not necessarily like the actual impact that's real, but the possibilities as well. That's like how you can move other people through whatever you create and make whatever's in your head into a reality. So I think that's part of the excitement. Yeah.
So I see. So it's like the materializing aspect and also the social aspect too.
So influencing others, or like a homo, I think it's a creative process of transferring your abstract thoughts into other people.
Yeah.
And it influences them to do things that they can do with that information or insight. So
yeah, I guess that's one big part of it. It's like the impact it can have on others, but also just like doing it is fun. I don't know.
So
yeah, just the funness of it. That's different to every single person, and everybody has different little areas that they find this fun in. But I think that this is the ones that are for us most fun. Yeah. So it seems like we're all kind of looking at having a positive impact on others. So like improving. Or I guess we all tend to want to improve the world for other people. I think, especially with us three, it seems that that's something dominating within us, right?
To contribute to others
Yes.
as a result of
So, so how would you improve the world for the next generation if there was no way that you could fail and were 10 times smarter than the rest of the world?
I saw that transition coming from 5
Arigato.
kilometers.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I was trying to make a connection. It was a bit forced.
That was good.
That was good.
It was so good. We saw it coming.
Okay.
Yes, so I can start. I would most likely so even now, I don't have to, even if I'm not 110 times smarter, I would still be interested in starting
110
school. Oh, sorry, 10 times smarter. Let's start over. Let's start over again.
We can include this, it's fine.
So, I'll go first, guys.
絶対カットしない。
I would most likely still be interested in starting a school. I can be the smartest person in the world and be creating rockets and EVs like Elon Musk, but it's him, one genius, doing all the work. Okay, not all the work. Sorry to all the employees there.
Whoa.
But let's say he is doing all the work. Let's just say he is the only employee. Instead of him doing 10 times the output, I think it will be also cool to influence or spread your mindset or values or your just intelligence, spread it to students or the youth, younger generation, so that there will be 10 more or even more Elon Musk or smart geniuses in the future that can do further. That can further the advancement of humanity in their own ways. So it's more of not doing the work yourself, but raising other people that can do the work, but you do it to so many other people, so you multiply the effect. I thought that would be cool if you were 10 times smarter to do it. I don't know. Especially if we're in the context of improving the next generation.
そうだね。なんか it really connects with your curiosity for teaching. その seeing your impact on another person, but on a bigger scale. これは。
Yeah. And
seeing them in a way be empowered. Right? To like you said, impact humanity in a positive way in their own ways, but have the courage and power and tools to do so.
Yes.
I remember you sharing an experience of you tutoring a student at one of your assistant teacher experiences, where that student couldn't really tackle their homework effectively. So you stuck with him and called him for an hour or two until he got it, or kept responding to his questions until he got it, instead of being you asked too many questions, go look for it yourself, kind of thing.
I don't know all your tokens.
But it seems like you want to see them being empowered, and the message they sent you as a result of that experience, you said, was one of the best feelings of just teaching. So yeah, I can see that motivation in this vision for you to improve the next generation.
And I think we recently talked about how we're gonna start talking about Overwatch right now, but in Overwatch, the video game, there are 3 different roles. There's the tank, there's the damage, and there's the support roles. And I realized I found myself playing a lot of support, I guess, more recently, and it feels more natural to me. And because the support role is more about I guess supporting and helping other players in the game to do better, and it felt more comfortable supporting other people than to be leading the group into a battle or something. So and this has kind of been a pattern since like when I was young with other video games too. Um, yeah, so I just thought it was it might just be a coincidence, but it also might be like a common thread there, of supporting others or empowering others, um, and like as much as like for example another example is as much as I want to have my own business or build my own company, it's hard to imagine myself being the CEO. And I feel like I would be some supportive role to that CEO. So yeah, I might have always been like, yeah, you'll be CEO, like forcing myself to think that way, but I think kokoro no soko, like I actually don't feel like being one, or doing it.
I mean, you can always like delegate that CEO task to somebody else, but still call yourself CEO. But actually, 実際は you're just helping, being kind of like a father figure to your company.
Yeah, like advice, なんかまあ board とかなれるもんね, like board of the company.
I thought you meant the other board. そうだね, board.
Like つまんない board?
Yeah.
So at the core, you're more motivated or comfortable assisting people.
なのかな? I'm trying to figure that out myself too.
面白い. Well, it seems like it from your この answer of how you can potentially improve the world. Because that's based on what you can do, right?
Yeah. I feel like I'm also selfish sometimes. So, I don't know, contradicting ideas. But I guess we're all a bit supportive and a bit selfish.
そうだね. Mine's gonna sound like kind of big because it sounds impossible. So what
Remember,
I
you're
want to
10
do,
times smarter.
yeah, so this is assuming I'm 10 times smarter. So if I were 10 times smarter, I think I would want to try to enhance or further understand the human mind. And the reason why I want to do this is because I want to reduce negative bias or beliefs that people have that lead to discrimination, pride and prejudice in the world. And this is because I feel like this is where the core problems lie in between tika. Yeah, this is where the problem lies in, and the majority of the problems in the world. And like Adler says, the majority of the problems we face or the struggles or stresses we face in our lives is based on human related problems. Interpersonal problems. Thank you. So, and I think this echoes into a bigger form and takes form as bigger problems. So by tackling what's at the core, I think things can resolve or get better at least. Yeah, and hopefully this can encourage genuine thoughts and feelings and more constructive human behaviors as a result. This is assuming I'm 10 times smarter. So, and on top of that, similar to Lee Kai's vision of creating a school, I want to try to create a space or environment for people, an educational environment where people can find their absolute strength or their unfair advantage, so to say. Because so I envision life or like finding your strength and weaknesses as like a plane. Oh, it doesn't have to be a plane. It can be a 3-dimensional space. But we're born into a certain place on this grid, and we move around this grid in our lives. And in this grid, there's a hot spot where your strengths lie in. And you're either born close to it, or you're born somewhere near it, or you're born somewhere in a place where you can't even see that hot spot. And those who find their hotspots when they're young are now professional athletes or just significant figures today, or some can be some can discover their absolute strengths later on, like they can become a billionaire after. なんだろう, Shibusawa Eiichi is a great example of this, but he used to be a farmer, but then he grew into a figure that created 500 companies, 500 foundational companies in Japan, such as Tokyo Gas, or like he made the first bank in Japan as well. So, and he's more of a 後天的 or later developed, a late bloomer. But in essence, they're reaching their absolute strength or hot zones. But unfortunately, the majority of the people can't or don't get to reach that hot zone. So, but I feel like everyone has this hot zone, and it's kind of a waste not to tap into these hot zones for everyone. So I want to create an environment where people can try to find this. So be more self-aware of this and intentionally go towards it, or just explore and find this and strengthen this area. I'm doing a horrible job at explaining this, but so the reason behind this is because I feel like this hot zone shouldn't really be a lifestyle restricted to only those who are socially or genetically gifted, or just placed there by chance. I feel like everyone should have the opportunity to do so. And even you can argue that everyone does have the same opportunity, but I don't know if that's true, if everyone has the equal opportunity. So to try to, in a sense, not lower the playing field, but
level the playing field.
Level the playing. どうなんだろう?
Or allow more access to playing field.
Make it more accessible and make it normal for people to tap into their hot zones so that people can live to their fullest capacities.
They would be so busy with loving their life that they wouldn't even want to commit crimes.
Crimes だけじゃなくてもなんかいろいろいい方向にI think it'll just start a really positive and constructive flow for humanity, I think. And
which oh, go ahead. Sorry. いいよ理解。No.
わかりました。じゃあ行きます。I wanna close off with this image that I have for humanity. I kind of envision humanity as this carnival, this huge, large-scale, unfathomably huge carnival, where people have their roles, like people sell yakisoba, or people are in charge of setting up the tents, or people are in charge of getting sponsors or whatnot. And there's so many different occupations, and I feel like currently there's so many of the same occupations. A lot of the majority, or if not, people are trying to become let's say sponsor seekers instead of yakisoba makers or tent setters, or we had boosters in our school, but like people who just set up the stage kind of thing. So, and I think this is a result of the society valuing a certain role over the other, instead of trying to be honest with what you want to do as an occupation or a role in this carnival. So yeah, hopefully people can find, and people should be able to fill the roles that they want to fill. So hopefully I can do that through this.
So then, yeah.
I thought you leveling the playing field for everyone, which is like relates to what Malcolm Gladwell said in the Outliers book, where he said, not everyone, or yeah, not everyone is given a chance to succeed in life, and some people were born in the right time and place um, to succeed, and so there's lucky. And so if that's true, and I'm sure, I think it is true, what you want to do, John, would help level that playing field. And I think it just relates to what he was saying. Yeah.
そうだね。
I like the, like, it's easy to imagine the omatsuri, because right now the, なんだろう, yeah, it sounds like a very nice image, and a very, なんだろう, peaceful image of the world.
うん。まあ you can say it's idealistic, but なんかその方がね楽しそう。
みんなもなんか自分のやりたいことやれるし。And then believing that we all have our innate interests that will contribute to that matsuri and make it more fun. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes kind of sense, right?
Yeah. And I want to connect it to kind of like, I thought of countries first, and then I thought of like race as well. I thought people, like if, like race, like skin color or whatever, like the people are born differently and they have their own innate interests, like you said, Marie. And if we combine them, we have such a nice spectrum of different people, and it's like a fun omatsuri, and people can be themselves, and there's no hierarchy, you know, there's no one is better than the other, but if we can appreciate each other's like differences, I think that's a really なんか楽しい scene.
Yeah.
そうだね. That's
just
also
like,
the
just like a matsuri.
なんか everyone does their own role, and everybody also respects that everybody else has their different role. みたいな.
Yeah.
そうだね. That would be ideal.
And this reminds me of another thing. I remember saying this before to you guys. You guys were there too, but like if we, like our human body is a prime example of like everyone being themselves, like organs and all the cells being themselves and specialize in their abilities, but they don't like discriminate, and like they sacrifice for each other too. Like sometimes there's like a like what's it called, like your immune system, like this white blood cells, yeah, those like, you know, they sacrifice themselves to like help eradicate like bacteria or other stuff, and it's like you would do that for me, like for me, from like my perspective, it's like you would do that. It's like for the better of the whole, everyone. So I mean, it's not, unless everyone's like follows every command, it's impossible to do that, I think, with especially, you know, it's just difficult to do that, but it's like ideal. It's cool that our body does that already.
Well, it's governed by something different.
Yeah.
They don't get paid more, right? Compared to other parts, so. それもあるよね。けど yeah, like that, なんか it reminded me of why game developers nerf certain characters and buff certain characters, because it creates unbalance in the game, and they want to create a leveled playing field for everyone to enjoy each role that's in the game. So なんでそれないんだろうっていうのを感じる。I feel like certain characters in the game are so buffed, and others are so weak that they don't choose those characters. So できればそのバランスをね、もうちょっと平らに、もっと楽しくしたいな。
My answer to the full question was kind of similar in a way, except that the focus would be, well, yeah, I mean, it is for the next generation, so the focus on the children. So yeah, like making or like teaching them a certain mentality that in their approach to the way of life, so like morality and racism and sexism and all those things. I think those are kind of what am I trying to say here? I guess just generally.
Take your time.
Oh, yeah, just generally changing the educational system. Yeah, it's similar to what you guys are saying, like helping them towards what they're naturally good at and what they're naturally interested in, so that everybody could kind of find how they can integrate their interests into like service to society. Yeah, I guess that's the essence. Yeah.
Yeah.
そうだね。うん。
ね。
Helping people find their element. Yeah, I don't have that much else to answer for that question. Don't know if you guys have anything else to add.
I see a lot of overlap among our visions or things that we want to do for the next generation. I wanna know what other people think as well.
Leave a comment down below.
Yeah.
そうだね。Yeah, focusing on helping people find what they're naturally happy in, or what naturally excites them, and then help, like guiding them. Yeah, repeating myself now, but yeah, guiding them towards how they can contribute to the society.
そう
ですね。
もっと似たようなビジョン持った人とつながりたいし。
そうだね。ぜひぜひ。So let's move on to the next question, which is, what 20% of your commitments, belongings, thoughts, and people produce 80% of your enjoyment and propel you forward, and which 20% cause 80% of your depression, anger, and second guessing? What will happen if you stop engaging in or with them? Ta-da.
What about you, Murray?
Yeah. What about you?
What about me? Okay, so I'll answer my own question. So I think that the 20% that positively influences my 80% of my life are definitely my family and friends. You guys too. That was really bad.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yes. So yeah, I think I've really noticed this in the past few weeks, especially because also part of my family came back to Belgium, and I feel like that was also a turning point for me, or it kind of stirred something in me that it gave me more energy over the whole day, and it just put me in a happier mood overall. And it's a very subtle change, but it's a very big impact. So I think that's a really nice example of the 20% and the 20% affecting 80% of my life. And another thing that enhances my... Hi!
You said you realized that your friends were the 20% that gave you 80% of joy.
Family and friends.
I remember being friends with you for like almost 10 years now.
Oh, which means...
The math just doesn't add up.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Wait, does that make sense?
Wait, what? So you're friends with me for 10 years?
Because you said
you recently realized.
Recently realized.
No, it's like... It's been there, but the realization came recently.
So her comprehension took 10 years.
So you're not...
Yeah. That makes sense.
頭の回転が遅いっていうことですね。
それが理解をプロセスするのがくっそ難しかったっていう。
そうかもね。That might be more it, yeah. Thank you, John.
Oh. Sorry.
そういうことで so yeah, I think those the 20%. Oh yeah, and in addition, are my creative outputs. I think those are also things. Yeah, singing, dancing, like always. They are things that I think put me in a good mood overall and kind of propel my other areas of my life as well forward. But on the other hand, my negative aspects are biggest one I think is my mentality. In that I tend to overthink a lot, and I tend to spend a lot of time thinking things through, like mudani. So that's where I think if I can, it's like a bottleneck. So if I can really improve that area of my life, I think it will have a huge impact. So 20% and the 80%. Sorry. Yes, and then the other thing is my thesis right now is a huge 20% as well. That's impacting my life 80%. Sorry.
The huge 20%. I see.
Yeah, I think my brain is getting a bit tired, but we're still going strong.
So your thesis is negatively influenced.
Negatively, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a barrier to other things that I want to be doing. It forms a big barrier, both mentally and physically. So that's, for me, those are the big 2 negative things. What about you guys?
What about the second part of the question?
And what will happen if I stop engaging with them? That's a good question. For my thesis, it's easy to imagine because I'm almost done with it. So I'm kind of like making everything really dramatic, but actually it'll end on the 31st of May because that's when I make my presentation for my thesis. Arigato, yeah. And so what will I stop if after that? I think I will have more time to focus on the things that I enjoy doing. There won't be like a barrier anymore or something in the back of my mind that it's like, I'm doing this, but I should really be doing this, mitena, you know? So there will be less holding back. So I'll have more time to do things that I really actually want to be doing. Yeah.
What about your other aspect that's
my mentality? Yeah, I think that's something that I've kind of been fighting with here and there and trying to tackle it in different ways. But I think that that's a continuous struggle, and it's not something that I can directly just stop engaging with. But what will happen, I think, if I do reach that point, I'll have more energy, I think. Because usually when I overthink things, I think of them in a negative sense, so then I'll lose a lot of energy or motivation because I'll think like, oh, it's not worth it, or, you know, the outcome won't be what I want it to be or something like that. So I'll just be more likely to just do things and just try them and not be afraid of failure. So I think in general, I'll be having more output in different things, areas. Yeah, I think that's my answer.
That sounds exciting.
It is. Sounds exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys like similar or different?
So after reading Digital Minimalism and Essentialism, I think Lika and I had the chance to sift through our lives in a similar way, using the 80-20 rule, or just think of what's more important and what's not, and trying shutting off the things that aren't necessarily important or just nice to have, so to say. So right now, the things that move me forward, the 20% of the things that cause 80% of my happiness, or things that move me forward, are my friends, including you guys.
Oh my god.
gaming. Likai and I were just gaming before this recording, but um, gaming is another one, and exercise. Although I can't really do everything, I love exercising. I love skateboarding. I love playing basketball. I love. I used to work out. I love doing that. I love running and I love bouldering. So whenever I get the chance to do them, I do them. And I love reading. I love studying life coaching. I love making YouTube videos. I love making photo books, working on creative projects, and cooking. So, yeah, I think most of the things that I'm doing today are based off of these things that excite me most. So,
It's
yeah.
good that you've already reached that stage where you're already like disengaging from the things that.
So then, yeah.
you
Although
don't like.
I still kind of do think this can be maximalist in a way, where I'm doing all these things and not focusing on one thing. But
Mm.
I think, yeah, I'm easily distracted by many things, and many things excite me and fulfill me in their own ways. So I'm not sure if I can let go of these things. Yeah, at least for now. Anyways, the things that hold me back or move me backward are, ironically, although my family is my main source of stability for money and just a house and my life, um, socially and psychologically, I think they are negatively influencing me. So that, along with my current state of lack of consistent income. So these are the two things that are holding me back. But those are the only things that are holding me back in my life right now, because, like I said, I had the chance to disengage from the other things that I thought were holding me back. But I'm hopeful, because once I start to establish myself financially, I'll be able to distance myself from my family and the thought of not having an income. So, yeah, I guess I'll just have to focus on the projects that I'm working on right now.
Okay, so. I think I've been pretty selective and good at disengaging with 20% of the things that cause most of the negative emotions in my life or negative experiences in my life. And yeah, I like to think that I'm uncomfortable with being uncomfortable with a lot of things. So it helped. It's helpful in this situation because whatever is like, I just like to just cut it out pretty abruptly, and I'm fine with that. So it helps. And so yeah, I guess kind of similar to John, there's maybe some family members that I kind of cut out. But yeah, mainly socially is what gets me the most. So those people, I try very hard to manage them. Positively is probably most of, if you look at my life, if there's a snapshot of my life, then you can think that's 20% of the 80%, 20% of the things that bring me 80% of joy, because like I said, I like being comfortable, so I'm already doing stuff that bring me joy. And so that does include friends like you guys, friends like you guys. And I want to add, I don't think until recently I thought I would be okay, or at least I was training myself to be okay with being myself, being alone. And so in undergrad, I wasn't the most social person, and I was just trying to be okay with that. But after talking to you guys, I feel like there was that 80% of the joy that I was aware of, but then there's an extra 80% that I got from just talking to you guys or other people on a consistent basis. And the consistent basis is important to make you feel like you are a part of a community, or you're being cared of. So friends とかかな. And gaming, of course, like John saying, gaming. Exercising, a little bit of exercising. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's like you know, 疲れるじゃん. It's like you get tired. It's like it's stress on your body, but like at the end of the day, you feel good, and like I want to feel healthy. So I guess in that sense, I just do it. I don't know. That doesn't really directly relate to 2080, but yeah. Any questions?
まあいろいろ it sounds like the 20% is like more like 80%.
Yeah, なんか
Yeah.
ね。そういう
Well, I
ね
guess that's good.
うんうんうん
Well, I love.
ね、さっきも言ったけど I think 特に最近 we had the chance to like assess it again.
うん。
So,
Yeah.
こういう感じ、こういう形 relatively polished な感じになってるけど、うん、
And
I don't think it ends. Like, ずっと80-20をやっていった方がいい。
Yeah.
うん。
And yeah, like so talking it out with you guys helps process it too.
うんうんうん
Something about just talking it out loud. Like it's so much more fun responding to someone's question than to like think it through by yourself. So like
うん、
なんか問題があって or like 悩みがあって一人で買って process するよりも give a little bit context to someone, and that someone asks all these like filler questions or like
yeah.
processing questions like helps somehow that helps more.
ね、自分が
Probably just
ね、見えない暗号とかが見えてくる。
そうだからかな.
Sounds like you're more bunke than you think.
うん、
Maybe I'm just emotional.
Oh, right.
Alright.
流された。
Yo, do you want to continue?
もういい
Elaborate.
わ
Has the ship sailed?
もう最後行こう。
はい。わかりました。Thank you for
Ship sailed.
So we have arrived at our last question of this podcast or video. So, okay, no, this is really bad. Okay. So the last question is more of a transition towards our real lives. So, what are your 3 actionable to-dos from this book? What are the 3 next things that you have to do? Or that are gonna be on the highest priority?
So I'm gonna do one better.
Hmm?
And talk about 5
Okay.
actionable
Oh.
to-dos.
Oh, next. Nice.
All right, take it away.
So number 1 is not really actionable to do, but it's more of a principle. But I think it's a principle that is really important enough for me that's worth as one actionable to do. It is synonymous. And this one is applying the 80-20 principle to everything I do. And I think I want to do it, but I keep forgetting whenever I do it, whenever I live life. So I want to really somehow, like, I don't know, put it on my wallpaper, computer wallpaper, a literal figure, actual wallpaper. But I realized doing 80-20 just like propels my productivity or the outcome of my life, or like my life, much further. And there's just so much little noise and like inefficiency, and that is, I think that's important. I think it's really important. Anyways, we all know that. But the second to do is I've always wanted to make a product, or like a platform or some kind of product. I think the closest was like the menu app that I made last summer. It was like a side project and it was like iOS app that was supposed to like help you order stuff from restaurants, and not just like delivery, but like in restaurant orders. Anyways, and I think I want to do something similar to that, like create a product, but this time in maybe in the education field to help people learn or whatever. And it's difficult. I want to add it's difficult to do that right now because I'm on like student visa in the States, and there's some restrictions there. So, but I don't know. I might be able to just start planning, and I think by the time I graduate next year, I think I've been wanting to do this project, this like scheduler program, like for students at school, like universities, to be able to like select different classes and see which schedules or which combinations of classes work, kind of stuff. I've always wanted to do that, so I'll make that my actionable to do from this book. My third point is going along with the educational like aspiration I had, was becoming a career ambassador or student career ambassador for the grad school that I'm in right now. And what this position is about is like doing resume reviews and talking about interview prep and like doing mock interviews and just kind of being a mentor for the students. I thought that would be interesting because it's still in the realm of education, but it's not like teaching. It's more like coaching. Like, so I think exploring will be fun, doing that. So that's my third actionable to do. Fourth is because the book talked a lot about the trajectory and like what you want to do in life and like the end goal and how you reach there, and many retirements throughout. I'm starting to be less following the traditional like realistic path that we talked about earlier today, and start to contemplate more about what other alternative options, like Maria was saying, I can take next year, because once I graduate next year from my grad school, really life is open. I mean, life was already open before because like I graduated from undergrad, but now, I mean, grad school, like once I finish this, it'll be like the world is all available to me. So it'll be a great opportunity for me to think like it's software engineering and doing like not enrolling, that's school, being employed by a company is my ultimate goal. それとか全部 I want to re-contemplate by when I graduate next year too. And I think I want to add last point to this one is, I think that's important to me because I came to the States to study in my undergrad and grad school, so it's a big decision to consider an alternate path, because I would kind of be virtually like throwing away my hard work, even though I know I'll still be able to translate it somehow to whatever, because it'll always be with me, the knowledge or like the experience that I learn. But just want to say it's a big deal. Yep.
Nice. So since I established that, fortunately, the worst thing that can happen to me now, if I did the things that I wanted to do, is to not have money and to owe money if I needed money to my family. And since that's the worst case scenario that can happen to me right now, I want to put more energy, or I will put more energy into establishing a financial foundation based on what excites me most now, which is to make photo products and grow my YouTube channel and make a system that can mutually grow off of each other based on those two outlets. And after that established, I want to then work on merging it with my curiosity for coaching and counseling, and hopefully that can stem or branch out into the bigger goals that I wanted to do if I were 10 times smarter. So right now I think I want to focus on establishing that foundation. Yeah, because I have the opportunity to do so right now. And so to give a more actionable or tangible context to this to-do, I want to be able to monetize my personal YouTube channel. It would be nice to monetize this channel too, but maybe that's for different timeline. So I want to monetize my YouTube channel in the next 6 months. So to get 1,000 subscribers and 40,000 watch hours on my channel, and generate enough income through the products and services like photozines, posters, and other products that I make, to finance a living outside of the house that I live in with my family in the next following 6 months. So monetization in the first 6 months and building a sustainable income in the next 6 months will be an ideal timeline. It sounds pretty tight as a schedule, but I feel like I would benefit off of this tight schedule. As Tim Ferris said, you would need to make rigorous deadlines or else things won't get done. So yeah, that's my number one actionable task. And number two, I want to develop my understanding and experience for life coaching and counseling to the point where it can become an additional source of income, and like I said earlier, a method to actualize my bigger goals. So I would, in a sense, essentially practice life coaching and counseling on more friends and people to test my service. Now, somehow I would have to develop a service, but so it's like testing my product in a sense, and try monetizing if there is positive feedback, and take more courses for counseling and coaching, so cognitive behavioral therapy, for well-being, for parenting and education, to add on to my experience and knowledge. And number three, since I'm really easily distracted by the noise of day-to-day life, I could use a reminder that can calibrate myself, that allows me to calibrate myself whenever I get the reminder. So I decided to stick post-it notes on my computer where I see, because my computer is a desktop, so the monitor and the computer itself is in a different place. So I should show it. Well, this task is kind of done already, but it's just essentially for me to stay on track. Because
Constant reminders 大事だと思いますね。
So in the book, he talked about sending yourself reminders as well to stay on task. And one of them was, are you avoiding the important? That's number one. Are you avoiding the important? Number two, necessary means necessary, not nice to have or to do. And I think I do this a lot, where I do things that sound nice but aren't really necessary for what I do right now. For example, one example is a goal that I had in the beginning of the year, which was to watch 100 movies, or to watch a movie every single day, which is, now that I think about it, nice to have, but it wasn't really essential to what I wanted to do for my goal. So, but you know, なんかノリとか this mundane life just distracts me to do these things and distracts me from doing the important things. So that's a good one. Focus on one thing at a time, because I'm easily distracted. Another reminder. I think it's good to have multiple projects running, but let's say in one day you want to work on one thing, or in one time period you want to work on one single thing. So なんだろう multitasking on a shorter time frame is bad っていうのを remind したい自分に。An extension to that is, what are you doing today? So focusing on certain tasks in one day instead of having an ambiguous objective being like, oh, maybe I'll get this done today. じゃなくて get this done today. And it's like a branch of that, but what are you doing now? Well, I guess this shows that I'm highly distracted and I need someone to hold my hands to stay focused, but instead of having another person be here with me, I'm having these post-it notes do that. And thank you, Tim Ferris. I guess I can call these Tim Ferrises. So I have Tim Ferrises on my desktop computer to remind me.
Tim Ferri.
Tim Ferri.
Ferri.
This.
Ferris. Sorry. For me, I don't know how to transition this. I actually have very brief to-do lists. But yeah, my first thing is, so after I finish my thesis, I'll have a little bit more time and a little bit more freedom as well. So one of the things I want to do or put on top of the to-do list is to make a list of top 3 places I want to visit and see if I can combine it with working locally or volunteering work, so that you can actually be seeing that certain country from the inside, from a local perspective. I think that's a really cool thing. There's an organization that's called ISEC, and they offer these things. It's quite like Tanki. Tanki is short, right? Short time?
Short term, yep.
So, short term, yeah. So it's like, for example, between 6 to 8 weeks, you go and help on this project. For example, working with animals in Sri Lanka or something, or working with wildlife. And you can combine that with kind of sightseeing and seeing the country. So that's something that I think I'm really interested in. So that's one thing, figuring out where I want to go and what I want to do. And then the second one is figuring out a concrete product that would become my source of income or one of the sources of income, and calculating how much I need to sell of that product to reach my target monthly income. And I already kind of calculated my target monthly income, which would be about 8만 yen or $800, $900, something like that. So yeah, figuring out how much of, so first of all, figuring out a product, and then figuring out how much I would need to sell of that product per month in order to reach my target monthly income. And then also figuring out my top 5 courses or hobbies that I'm curious in. So I don't know if they're my strengths or my weaknesses, but things that I'm just generally curious to try, or that I've always wanted to try but never gotten to it. So, and then act on them is also really important. This, for me, that's it.
What are some examples of courses or hobbies that you want to try out?
One of them is, I think I've talked about this before to you guys, but figure skating. I think I've always wanted to try doing that. Another thing is that I've never tried, but I've always kind of been curious about, is acting as well. So, and then there's some online acting courses. I think that'd be fun to try, just to see.
Online acting.
It's kind of like I don't know. I think that there's different variations of them, but that would be cool to try. So those are some examples.
Will you be able to keep a straight face?
Oh,
when
for
you're
acting.
acting?
I think that's gonna be the biggest weakness that I would have to work on if I do want to. Yeah, just to 試し, I guess, seeing what it's like.
ね、楽しそう。
Yes.
Okay, is that it?
It's quite an extensive discussion.
Oh, that was ね、結構長かったけど楽しかった。
That was good.
Yes. I hope it was also fun for you to listen to it.
Yeah, でも Marie のなんて言うんだろう、prompter for the questions はすごい良かったと思う。 I
ありが
know.
と
ミディエーター
Yeah.
必要だね。
う。Thank you.
Especially for people like me and Lee Kai.
Like you filled in the spots that John and I don't usually talk or
Yeah.
there's gaps. Yeah.
Thank you for that compliment.
So yeah,
Very
it felt
rare compliment.
really wholesome っていうか、なんかね、like you said あんまり話さないような角度から話してた気がする for some parts.
I'm gonna steal one technique that Marie you were using. I mean, Johnny do too, but like paraphrasing what the other person said. After they respond, is a nice follow-up response, like immediate response, which also sometimes leads to the original speaker to talk more about some things that they might have forgotten. Something about just paraphrasing and like throwing it back at the person helps them.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
思う。
I didn't know I was doing that, but I'm glad that I helped you guys.
Yeah, ほんと thank you. And thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for inviting me. Thank you. 楽しかっ
Okay.
たです。
That wraps up our episode for this week. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with someone who might benefit from it. And feel free to reach out to us either on the comment section below or through Twitter. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you for time and attention. Please stay safe. And we hope to see you in another episode. Bye.
Bye bye.